I spent much of today resolving the issue I had with my copy of Rapper Offline. I've also spent quite a bit of time trying to get Flash to work, Flash content to play again. And the browser I typically use, which is Microsoft Edge, after uninstalling Adobe Flash, as part of what I did to resolve the issue I had with Rapper Offline. Though it may also have something to do with me finding my older copy of Rapper Offline. Although a bit later into the day, Dad took me to Bill Gray's, where we each had 2 cheeseburgers, and mine had everything on them. I also got some fries, of which I had Dad apply ketchup to them, I think at 3 different occasions. And it was part of a coupon deal that I think Dad got from online from his phone. Right before the car ride there, I got an email alert off my Brockport email account that I was.
Are you filming it?
Yeah.
You are? Do you want your surprise now?
Yes, please. Is it a Klondike bar? Below the 12 credit threshold to be considered a full-time student, and therefore,
How good have you been?
very good.
All right, take one.
Ooh.
Is that a good surprise or what?
Yeah, that's a pretty good surprise. It's some good cannoli. I was at risk of losing my on-campus residency due to it being a violation of the on-campus housing agreement to be below 12 class credits in a semester because you have to be a full-time student to have on-campus housing. And so off the phone, I went onto WebBanner and went into the process of carefully adding 2 classes, making sure that I carefully registered classes so that they didn't conflict with each other. I added in a national security class and an African politics class. Both of which are on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So I now have classes on those days, and if I recall, the national security class starts at 11 in the morning on those days, while the African politics class starts at 9:30 in the morning. Which means I'm going to have some self-discipline in going to bed at a relatively early time, at least by 1 in the morning each night, or 2 in the morning at the latest, in order to ensure that I don't oversleep and miss the African politics class at 9:30 in the morning. I had to be careful to pick classes that, while weren't completely full, were at least at half of their capacity, in order to ensure that they wouldn't be canceled due to a lack of registration for that class. And obviously I couldn't register for a class that was already at capacity. And then after the trip to Bill Gray's, this time we went to the one near Seabreeze. And while the menu didn't feature cocktails per se, the bartender that was working at the time, if I recall, it might have been a male who played football in college and I overheard some story of a football player someone telling their time as a former football player, and they must have brutally tackled someone in retaliation for that person spearing them 3 times after being warned the first 2 times and disregarding those warnings. And upon that brutal tackle, the coach was like, "You killed someone," something like that. And that's what I thought I heard. I tried to call my mom before we went off to Bill Gray's because I felt like talking to her, which led to her calling me while we were at Bill Gray's. And the phone conversation then was very brief. Because we were at a public place at the time, and I'm pretty sure that phone conversations are considered rude. When you're at inside seating at a restaurant or other eating establishments. Maybe less so if you're outside, but I think it's a no-no, definitely a no-no if you're inside. And then Dad took me for us to go see his parents, during that visit I wore my mask the whole time, just as I did at Bill Gray's until we sat down, and then again when we went to leave, sat down at the bar area. And Grandma Dearest, that's the nickname I have for Dad's mom, made a huge loaf of bread, and she gave a hunk of it for us to take home. And it was during that visit that the idea of drawing the Energizer Bunny on a block of styrofoam, perhaps exactly as this one, or definitely something similar to it, because I asked for any other potential requests, and Grandma Dearest gave a bunny as a potential request. I found a way to potentially get Flash Player to work again. I just don't know if this method would work on Microsoft Edge, since, that's the browser I use by default. And switching to another browser would likely cause me to lose progress, especially on that Hiplotica game. Yeah. I tried the Supernova browser extension out, but it didn't really work out. At least not yet. I was working on this Harvey Quinn Starfoam drawing while basically listening to Animated Hero Classics episodes. Her dad gave me this, what he described as a big ass peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And he made it using Grandma's bread. Pretty good sandwich. Although, there was a brief few minutes at least where I thought about how many diamonds to put on the drawing. I was currently watching the Animated Heroes Classic episode on George Washington when Dad presented that sandwich to me. If I recall, Grandma Dearest said she used 8 cups of flour in order to make the entire loaf. Though I have no idea. She didn't say how long she baked that loaf of bread for. I would say roughly an hour passed between the last part of the video and this part.